Well, good morning, UW School of Social Work. On behalf of the Martin Luther King Commemoration Committee, on behalf of the Dean's Office, and on behalf of the Moment, let me say welcome to our 2023 commemoration of Martin Luther King Day here at UW School of Social Work. And for some opening remarks, let's welcome Acting Dean, UW School of Social Work, Mike Spencer.
Thanks, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Before I make some brief remarks about MLK Day, I also want to say Happy New Year to all of you. Happy Lunar New Year. Kung hi fa choi. Omedetou gozaimasu. Hawali makahiki ho. Happy New Year. That's all the languages of my ethnic backgrounds. I just want to say it's such an honor to be here today and to be here in this room actually with several of our beloved faculty and staff. And if those of you in the building, if you would like to come upstairs and have some breakfast and join us in person, please do so. Those of you out there in Zoom land, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for being here to hear the remarks of not just some of our esteemed colleagues here, but also our special awardee today, which is August Rivers, who will be our speaker and awardee today. Yes, quick applause. You'll be welcomed more fully in a minute. That being said, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm honored to speak today. One of the reasons why I'm so honored is because this day for me represents something very special. When I think of Martin Luther King Day, I think of Martin Luther King, I often think about the words of the beloved community. And why do I bring up the beloved community? Because, for me, when I think about what is my vision of social justice, I often think about what Dr. King had said. What Dr. King talked about when he said his beloved community was not just the people who look like him. The beloved community actually existed, your enemies from yesterday. And how are you going to bring your enemies of yesterday into your circle of allies today? That's what the beloved community was. Not that people of color or people who are marginalized will one day rise up and take over power and oppress others, but rather that those who are marginalized will rise up and will join together with others to create a better society for every single one of us. And that to me is what the beloved community is all about. And that was Dr. King's vision. And it's a vision I have for myself, I have for the school, and I have for our community. And so I do hope and wish that all of you can take that today and pass on that sentiment. And work towards a better, just society for all of us. With that being said, I'll turn the floor back to Kalfani.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. I got it. Thank you. And next, we'd like to welcome the songful presentation of Lift Your Voice and Sing with assistant teaching professor Kathy Taylor. Let's see, what I want to share about the Lift Up Your Voice and Sing presentation is Lift Your Voice and Sing is a poem turned into song 123 years ago. And it literally tells the story, the African-American story through 1900. And it does it poetically in kind of a circular fashion. And so there's not a linear story, but it's nonetheless a poetic retelling of the coming through and how we prevailed through the hazards and hassles and horrors of the enslavement experience to arrive through emancipation into and then look at the at that time, look at the 20th century with hope and optimism. Kathy Taylor.
Thank you, Kalpani. So the words are up here, so you can sing with me. It's not a solo, okay? Just want y'all to know it's not a solo. My allergies are acting up, so I'm gonna need your help this morning. So sing with me. Yes, please stand. It's a national anthem. Thank you, Kalpani. Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with a steady beat have not our weary feet come to the place for which our fathers sighed. We have come over the way with the tears have been watered. We have come treading our path through the blood of the slaughtered. Out of the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who has brought us far on the way, thou who has by thy might led us into the light. Keep us forever in our path, we pray. Lest our feet stray from the places, our God, where we met thee. Lest our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee. Shadowed beneath thy hand, true to our God, true to our native land. Thank you. Good job. Good job.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Kathy Taylor. And now I'll simply draw your attention to the screen as we kind of set the stage for our experience and the recognition of our awardees. There's a context to the day. And let's see, I'm going to check and see the monitor that I can see. Okay. Okay, so it's coming. All right. So what I will do is I will offer this some contextualizing thoughts that I think will offer words to the effect of Birmingham Reflection 63, 23, you and me or muy. And so I'm excited to acknowledge that this, of course, is brought. This conversation is brought by the MLK committee, and you see the names of those good folks who are with us, some of whom are with us this morning in person, others are with us online, and so we want to acknowledge them, and let's show them some appreciation. So will you all of the committee please stand? And we've also got these got some flowers on our lapels, so you'll be able to notice the folks who've done the work and brought these ideas together. Thanks so much. And so what will, as I advance, yes. Okay, great. And so I want to offer, of course, a land acknowledgement, and to be kind to myself rather than squint, I will ask a volunteer to come forth and read this land acknowledgement. Can I invite, Stacy, can I invite you, please?
Thank you, Kofani. We acknowledge that the University of Washington sits on the unceded indigenous lands of the Coast Salish people, past, present, and future, and invite everyone to learn the history of these lands and invest in deeper solidarity with indigenous people wherever we live, work, and play.
Thank you, Stacy. And next. We want to also acknowledge that as we think about 1963 was a tumultuous 60 years ago. And so we want to likewise acknowledge that of the numerous things that happened in September of 63, that was the year of the bombing of the Birmingham church, where we lost those 4 little girls. And we will call them by name: Addie Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley. And as we do that, let us also take a moment to bring in Kakilambe, or what in Guinea would translate as the good spirit. And so as we invite the spirits of these 4 little girls who should be old women at this time, but did not get that chance. We in the classical African construction, life is not only intergenerational, but it transcends the material, and so we can acknowledge that their spirits can move, and if they were to decide to, they could join us. Not only their good spirits, but the good spirits of our ancestors that are in the room. And so let's create an environment where we could welcome not only the good spirits of Addie McNair and pardon me, Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson and Cynthia Wesley, but you could call on your ancestors. We could bring in the good spirits of the people on whose shoulders you stand. And we could do that maybe with a welcoming rhythm. So let me invite you to join me here with this. Now, with even just the moisture, the welcoming moisture on the palms of our clapping hands, we can invite good spirits. So let me ask you to invite the good spirits that inspired you. Please call them by name. Call them by name. Thank you. Are there good spirits that you would want to join us in this moment? Please call them by name. Thank you. Are there good spirits that you would want to call into this room and have them support our good work? Call them by name. Ashe. Any others? And with this, we welcome those good spirits. Thank you. Next. And so then we are invoking history, but we're rhetorically going to be challenged with why do that? Next. In fact, we know that kind of embodying this question of the usefulness of history, Al Gore's cousin, Gore Vidal, wrote that Americans hate history. But we know that next, Sinha and colleagues proposed that in fact, history is essential for a vibrant democracy because the facts of history help defend against the creation of mythology for political ends. And so we invite all of us to this conversation and this kind of brief exploration of history. Next. So 1963 then is this challenging year whose nadir for many would be found in the assassination of Robert Kennedy, and whose apex may be found in the March on Washington. Next. 63 was also the year when Fannie Lou Hamer suffered the extreme and sadistic and misogynistic torture in the Winona, Mississippi jailhouse. She would survive that experience and so challenge in the following year the status quo that when she came to speak to the podium to speak at the Democratic National Convention, Lyndon Johnson called an impromptu conference, a press conference, to specifically draw cameras' attentions away from Fannie Lou Hamer's message, where she offered, "I question America." Next. 63 would also be the year that would not be the year that King would challenge Vietnam, but it certainly was a challenging year. That was where Vietnam War was being upscaled substantially. At that time, the rhetoric out of Washington, D.C. was that there are no combat troops in South Vietnam, when in fact, we know that history shows that there were no less than 120,000 combat troops in 63 with I believe 22 combat deaths. And so 63 was challenging in that regard. And so we're looking globally. Notice we're looking globally and locally. In fact, in Seattle, in 1963, some of you are reading James Baldwin. And James Baldwin came to Seattle in 1963 and supported the Congress of Racial Equality's work as they were challenging then the Bon Marché, now Macy's, to hire Black people. And they were in a 9-month negotiation in 1963, and the year ended with no hires there, but there were hires at a store called Lucky. I don't think Lucky exists anymore, but there were some hires And that was the environment that we were experiencing here in Seattle. Next, across the world, 1963 was the first would see the first time that Nelson Mandela would be sent to the prison camp of Robben Island. It was also the start of what would come to be known as the Rivonia trial, where that would result in the following year in the Rivonia 10 being all sent to, two Caucasians and 8 Africans. They would be all South Africans. They would be sentenced to life in prison the following year. That Rivonia trial would start. And I'll be coming back to 2 of the 10, Nelson Mandela and Mbeki, who are also shown there. And we'll talk about what they did to initiate 21st century anti-racism. I'll get there shortly. Next. But again, 1963 then is perhaps one of the things that King is most known for from 1963 is his letter from a Birmingham jail that he titled The Negro is Your Brother. And the one of the fascinating things that he would later be frustrated by is this whole challenge of racism. And as with his statement there that you can see, and who better to embody this than next? Yeah, he would, and you can see the clip on YouTube where he makes the proclamation that is none other than Governor George Wallace. And he would make the proclamation, I am not a racist. And he would, it's so funny, somehow my slideshow program didn't accept that either, because it wouldn't even display the statement. Next. But again, the Birmingham jail letter is the most, maybe the flashpoint that history records from 1963. And I would like to center that not from the letter. For social workers, I like to center not the letter itself, but the focus of the letter. And the focus of the letter was 8 ministers of Birmingham who saw themselves as cultural stewards, and I think it would be almost fair to say that they viewed themselves as allies of the struggle. Why? Because this is in April. The Birmingham letter from Birmingham jail comes out April 16th. April 12th, the ministers wrote an open letter essentially to the movement that had come to Birmingham, and that movement was working to desegregate Birmingham and really just realize the vision of the 1954 Supreme Court decision. That challenge, these ministers felt that the civil rights workers were moving too fast, and King articulates that. However, I think it's important that as social workers, we often find ourselves kind of caught in the middle. Well, where were these ministers caught in the middle? These ministers were caught in the middle of the civil rights workers on the one hand, but on the other hand, Governor George Wallace, the aforementioned George Wallace, had just been sworn in, and in January 12th, he issued his famous proclamation of segregation now, segregation tomorrow, and segregation forever. 4 days later, those same 8 ministers offered a statement challenging George Wallace. And their statement was, hey, integration is the law of the land, and it should occur. And so they felt that they had the agency to, when the fever pitch of the movement was reached in the spring, they felt that they had the agency and the gravitas and the heft and the credibility with the movement to say, hey, y'all, chill out. Well, history shows they probably didn't have that, but I want us to kind of sit in that soft, have that soft sensation of that middle space that we often find ourselves in. In fact, Joyce Bell, who wrote Black Power and American Social Work, proposes that social work finds itself often situated between service and social change. But however we voice that middle space that we often occupy, I want to invite us to kind of experience that positionality of where those ministers may have felt themselves as they were trying to stand in the gap between, on the behalf of Birmingham citizenry, in between George Wallace and the civil rights workers and the civil rights movement. Next. All right, and so as I close, what I want to invite is, I mentioned Mbeki and Mandela, who were sentenced to life. Well, of course, life did not happen. Life in prison did not happen for them. They were liberated, and they would not only be liberated, but stand to move into leadership in a anti-apartheid South Africa and host the Durban Conference on Against Racism in the year 2001. That signals, in my mind, the start of anti-racist work in the 21st century. And so our bachelor seniors will recognize this timeline, because with the help of Dr. Maya Williams and Saul Tran Cornwall, Saul is going to be recognized here shortly. We saw this and we offered this as a way to frame anti-racism in social work by putting it on a 21st century timeline. And so the blue dots recommend identify salient moments in the 21st century where racism was either challenged or advanced. And the brown dots represent social work's engagement with anti-racism. Our invitation for you: download this document and see how you would modify it. What would you do? What's missing? What are our errors and omissions? What should be there that's not there, or what's not clarified in the way of tracking our work for anti-racism that I'm going to propose links directly not only to 2001 in Durban, but the Rivonia trial of 1963 and King's letter from a Birmingham jail. And with that, I'd like to bring attention to Nicole, who's going to help us to recognize our 2023 both nominees and our awardee. Nicole?
Thank you, Kafani. In the spirit of all of that history and work, it's our pleasure to have several colleagues reading excerpts from letters that were submitted to the committee that we had the pleasure of reading. Our first reader is Sonia Duckworth, who will be reading a nomination letter submitted by Morgan Wells for Kafani, actually, who had to recuse himself from the committee as we considered his nomination letter as well. So Sonia, are you present in 305? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you all hear me okay? Okay. Well, you just got a taste of how brilliant Khalfani is. So this letter nomination from Morgan is no surprise. Please forgive me if I stumble through it, but here we go. So again, this is from our colleague Morgan Wells, and nomination letter for Khalfani Mwambi. Khalfani's scholarship in the area of discarceral social work is unparalleled. He is considered a thought leader in the work by his colleagues. He is committed and brings a consistent attention to the elevation of anti-racist praxis in community discussions, and he devotes time to developing his framework for decarceral well-being social work. which he has presented at recent conferences. Professor Mwambi, oops, sorry, my phone is freaking out here, has convened a group of faculty at the SSW to advise him on his processes and explore emergent strategies for growing this work, calling the group the Learning Center for Decarceral Wellbeing. In the autumn of 2022, this group hosted Seattle Police Department Chief Adrian Diaz and his team to explore relationship building and partnership with an eye towards creating practicum learning opportunities that invite engagement with the LC4DW, the Carceral Wellbeing Framework. This work shows that while Professor Mwambi is known for his scholarship, he is also very much a man of action. He never fails to engage generously, openly, and with great kindness. He champions the work with a measured determination in both loving and deeply humble, very much in the spirit of Dr. King's legacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next reader is Aaliyah Vinokur for the nomination of Charlotte Sanders.
Thank you. Thank you for having me be part of this powerful program. I haven't known Charlotte since joining the School of Social Work 6 years ago. I've worked closely with her on the MSW curriculum in her roles as advanced standing instructor and program leader, MSW program committee member, and clinical social work integrative seminar instructor, on workforce development in her interprofessional education role, and as the former head of the Northwest Leaders in Behavioral Health program. And now currently as field faculty and teaching faculty, especially serving our extended degree program students. In all of these capacities, Charlotte has proven to be an indispensable asset to the school. Her pedagogic innovation, mentorship of students, and commitment to our MSW program mission grounded in social, racial, and economic justice underpins all she does. She is consistently named as one of our MSW students' most impactful instructors and is nominated every year as the MSW Student Choice to announce graduates at commencement, given her deep connections with our students. Maybe most importantly is the way Charlotte brings so much heart and realness to our work and models use of self to students, faculty, and staff. I can only imagine that Charlotte's own background and intersectional identities inform her fierce advocacy of our students and her commitment to underserved and marginalized communities. She is one of the first people I think of as a champion of first-gen students at our school, as well as someone who consistently thinks outside the box to better serve our tribal parenting and working students in EDP. Finally, we often rely on Charlotte's unique expertise around working with our houseless neighbors when considering ways to incorporate housing services best practices in our classrooms and research. Thank you so much, Charlotte, for your consistent racial justice and collective liberation commitments. I think you're a true inspiration to all of us, and I'm so glad that we could honor you today.
Thank you so much, Aaliyah. Next, we have Geraldine, who will read nomination letters for Bethune Simpson.
Good morning. It's an honor to be here today to introduce you to my nominee, Bethune Simpson. Beth is compassionate, a strong youth advocate, community-oriented, and someone who exemplifies humility and grace through the way she lives her life and demonstrates her commitment to service. Beth is a tireless warrior who has spent most of her adult life serving others. She has supported children, youth, seniors, and families in the community, both locally and abroad, for over 15 years. Beth has served BIPOC families and communities as a public child welfare service social worker and program manager for the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. Beth has served on boards as a community member for a number of community-based programs, including Mockingbird, the Legal Counsel for Youth and Children, and as co-founder of the Social Work Transracial Adoptee Group. In addition to BIPOC and other marginalized communities and youth, Beth is deeply devoted to serving her communities, the Korean community and the transracial adoptee community. Beth has always practiced strength-based, community-focused, anti-racist social work in her service to community. She's very skilled at building, strengthening, and maintaining community connections. Beth is a natural advocate for social justice. It is embedded in her personal and professional values and the attributes that are directly aligned with how Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. lived his life and what he inspired others to do. She is kind, loving, and inspirational, and I'm honored to call her a friend and a colleague. I'm joined in my nomination of Beth by my colleagues and have the pleasure of sharing excerpts from letters by Glenn Gonzalez and MSW CTAP alum Erica Geringer as well. Erica writes, Beth would always go out of her way to provide mentorship and support to me as an adoptee working in child welfare. Beth additionally saw a need for transracial adoptee group within the School of Social Work, and she brought me the Transracial Adoptee Group, a school-based student organization, to fruition. She volunteered her time and energy to bring together staff and students of color who are adopted because she saw there was a community need for extra support and connection. Glenn Gonzalez writes, I have never met another social worker who is as committed to the action and commitment of social change as Beth. Thank you.
Thank you, Geraldine, and thank you to Beth as well. Next, we have Brian Walton, who will read for a joint nomination of both Matthew Simpson and Saul Tran Cornwell. Brian?
All right. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here this morning to read the nomination for Beth U. Simpson and Saul Tran Cornwell for the 2023 Martin Luther King Jr. Community Volunteer Recognition Award for their incredible work with transracial adoptees over the past several years. Beth and Saul have been volunteer organizers and facilitators for a transracial adoptee mentorship program over the past 10 years and have had a tremendous impact on the youth they have served. Equally as important, if not more, is the work that they have, the important and impactful work they have done with the parents of the transracial adoptees in the program. Beth and Saul are experts on transracial adoption and the impact it can have on the racial identity development of transracial adoptees, which is the focus of their work. They created innovative programming for the adoptees and their parents that supports healthy identity development. It's truly awe-inspiring to see how much time, energy, passion, and love that Beth and Saul have put into this volunteer program, dedicating countless weekends throughout each of the past 10 years to empower the adoptees and their families. Thank you, Beth and Saul, for your tireless commitment to serving the transracial adoptive community and the School of Social Work community. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you so much to all of our nominees for all of the work that you do, and we hope that you feel recognized and appreciated. I now want to introduce Erica Lee, who will read the nomination letter for our awardee this year, August Rivers. Erica, I'll pass it to you.
Thanks so much, Nicole. My name is Erica, and I wrote this letter with my classmate, Jordan. We want to nominate August Rivers for the 2023 Martin Luther King Jr. Community Volunteer Recognition Award. August demonstrates commitment towards our social work BIPOC community through her multiple successful organizing efforts. In addition, August has shown outstanding leadership in community empowerment for students of color, which deserves recognition for creating the intentional spaces needed for authentic connection. Before this year, students of color within the School of Social Work did not have POC student-led spaces. All programming operated through the school, creating a dynamic that enforced the inherent hierarchical structure present within higher education. The student-led spaces generated by August helped foster community areas driven by a flattened hierarchical model aimed at supporting students. This community building effort allows us to separate from the need to perform within our roles as students and exist more authentically. While the spaces August has implemented are not formally recognized, they are structured, functional, and imperative towards student success. The spaces August creates spans across digital and in-person communities to increase access for students. To our count, August has developed 5 student-led areas that we are aware of, which include 1. Blacks in Social Work. This is a Slack subchannel in our cohort's official Slack group. This is where information that is specific to the Black experience in social work is shared. 2. BIPOC Graduate Social Work Chat. This is a Discord group with 77 MSW student participants aimed at creating a student-only space where members can connect around building community with one another in school and social programming. 3. Unaffiliated School of Social Work BIPOC Affinity Group. This is an in-person meetup in which MSW students of color can join to connect with others in person. This student-only space is focused on creating relationships. Approximately 20 to 25 BIPOC students have attended this in-person, COVID-safe social group at a time. 4. School of Social Work COVID Response Student Group. August promoted much-needed safety for our student population when the School of Social Work often felt constricted by the greater UW around COVID safety protocols. She generated student-led commitments towards upholding safety standards for ourselves and the people we serve. August facilitated large group discussions within our cohort, as well as small group conversation focused on action planning and advocacy. 5. BIPOC Student Clinical Practicum Debrief. As BIPOC clinical social workers within a student intern role, we experience unique difficulties when based in external agencies. Our positions within these agencies, alongside our institutional affiliation, create dynamics for students of color that pose ethical concerns. This space for debriefing is necessary for allowing students to find purpose and intention in this work. August's outstanding efforts to protect and empower all BIPOC students in the School of Social Work should be formally recognized. Thank you for considering August Rivers for the 2023 Martin Luther King Jr. Community Volunteer Recognition Award.
Thank you, Erica. I want to pass the mic to Stacy, who will facilitate a brief activity on a Padlet. And thank you to all of our readers.
Thank you, Nicole. So at this point in the program, we'd like to pause and take a moment here and send our congratulations to August. And anything you want to share, we have a Padlet. Folks who are here in the room, you have a QR code at your table. You can access the Padlet there. And then folks who are on Zoom, the link is in the Zoom space. So please take a moment, and we'll take this moment to pause for about 3 to 5 minutes, and please share your congratulations. Thank you to everybody.
All right, so here's the good news. Here's the good news. You won't, if you're not done, your time is not over. Just take a pause, and if you could just not recall where you are. Is there a save function in that? In the Padlet? I'm being told there's no save function. All right, so finish your thought. And remember, you can always go back and add an additional thought. Let's also give some special thanks to our tech guru, Brooks, who's got keeping things together on Zoom and in person and all. very excited. So just as lots of folks kind of bring this together, and certainly among those forces and sources of support are the organizations that kind of embody our professionalism. One of those, of course, is the National Association of Social Workers, and I'd like to welcome to this space just the brief thoughts of Jeremy Arp, who's the director of Washington State's National Association, National Association of Social Workers. Jeremy Arp.
Hello, thanks for the opportunity. My name is Jeremy Arp. I serve as the executive director for NASW Washington chapter. The chapter is always thrilled to participate in this in each year's ceremony, and congratulations to August as we honor the work and legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. NASW co-sponsors this event, works with the team, and we're just so thrilled to work with UW and other social work schools and entities on anti-racist efforts. We're currently working with Dr. Mike Spencer on looking at ASWB exam results and the response from the social work communities. So we're thrilled to do that. I just wanted to make sure to invite you to become a member of NASW. Check out what we're doing at nasw-wa.org. We also want to invite you to our annual policy conference on February 20th that offers the opportunity for legislative education and advocacy. It's a hybrid event this year. It's really exciting. So we'd love to see you all there on President's Day when you're closed. We also invite you to check out other additional social work professional associations in Washington, including NASW, of course, but also the Washington Association of Black Social Workers, the Washington State Clinical Society for Social Work, the Coalition of Healthcare Social Workers, and the Washington Association for School Social Workers. Those are wonderful opportunities to get involved in both the legislative session, policymaking, and leadership. So thank you again for the opportunity. Nicole or Kalfani.
Office, and of course our committee. As we bring our conversation, this formal program, to a close, I want to remind folks of a few things. We are fortunate to have some remaining breakfast, and so you're going to be able to find that, I think, in the in the office. What's that, room 200? Yeah, in the mailroom. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Cheryl. So we'll have some food in the mailroom. Also, we are part of a larger consortium. We work collaboratively in recognizing the work of Dr. King and the work of our colleagues that continues that legacy with our entire health science schools network. And that includes the 6 health science schools. We will be enjoying a program with them, and some of us will be migrating, and you're all encouraged to migrate at 2 o'clock to the health sciences, Warren G. Magnuson Health Sciences entry foyer, where from 2 to 4, we will recognize all of the health sciences awardees for the past 3 years. And that's going to go from 2 to 4 at Warren G. Magnuson Health Sciences foyer. So please feel welcome. To bring us to a warm conclusion, I am excited to bring back the welcoming voice of Kathy Taylor, who will lead us with We Shall Overcome. Kathy? Oh, okay. Yes. So I've been reminded that we have one additional gift for our awardee. Thank you, Stacy. So before I invite Kathy to the stage, let me invite you, August. Is August still here? Back to the stage, please, or to the podium. All right, and because what this says, this is a plaque that we give to each of our awardees annually, and it reads, August Rivers, recipient of the 2023 Martin Luther King Jr. Community Service Recognition Award, January 19, 2023, UW School of Social Work, the ultimate measure of a person is not where they stand in moments of comfort and convenience, but where they stand at times of challenge and controversy. I'm paraphrasing the remarks that are printed here by Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King. August, would you share maybe a thought or two? Are you comfortable with that? Sure. Okay, great.
I don't know. Just thank you so much to everyone for the time and consideration, and Erica and Jordan for taking the time to write that letter. I keep saying thank you, I don't know what else to say, but I'm really touched by how kind and thoughtful. And thank you to Kalfani and Stacy for our coordination, even when I was not the best to be coordinated with via email. Thank you. I don't know if I have anything to say. I didn't prepare anything. I think just genuinely motivated and inspired by peers' concern for one another and the genuine desire to connect. And I think just finding all the ways that that looks over time has been a real joy of my experience here in the clinical social work program. So thank you, everyone, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thank you.
And Kathy Taylor, please help us depart in song.
Thank you. So the words again are going to be up there for you to follow along. And we're just going to do, excuse me, so I'm going to need your help again. We're going to do a couple of verses. So we will do the first verse and the last verse, okay? You want to stand? Even though this is not an anthem, it's just good to stand in recognition of such a powerful song when you think about all these verses. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Last verse. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. Thank you.